It's a beautiful day in Dead by Daylight. And oh no, the killer is chasing you. Run, run, run. Oh no, the killer has just downed you. And oh no, what are you doing, Step Bro? Why is his penis inside of you? Well, this is called camping, my friend. And camping is totally legal, unlike sniffing cocaine. Coca-Cola. It's very weird to say this, but DBD developers have finally found a solution to camping. And honestly, they kind of fixed camping. It's weird to say this because I've been playing Dead by Daylight for more than 6 years now, and in these 6 years, the biggest problem that survivors have had with killers was being slugged, tunneled and camped, and all this time I've been playing this game with all these problems. I cannot say that DBD developers have done nothing in the past to try to fix camping as a problem, because they have done something in the past in attempt to stop the face campers. For example, Rebecca Chambers has this perk called Reassurance, which is an anti-camping perk. Also, if the killer stands close to a survivor, that survivor will be able to unhook himself or herself. But let's be fair, nobody uses this perk, and the killer can still safely camp without any fear of the survivor being able to unhook themselves if the killer camps from a distance. So I'm glad that developers have at least tried to fix camping in the past, but these attempts, they were not successful. And I know that I'm always speaking about how DBD, in my opinion, is a survivor-sided game, that developers are constantly favoring the survivor side, but let's be fair, both sides have problems and nobody likes to get camped or tunneled or slugged, so it's always nice when developers try to fix some of these problems, even though these problems can be very difficult to fix because these problems are in the core of Dead by Daylight, and you cannot change the foundation without breaking something in the process, you know what I mean? So I don't think that slugging or tunneling will ever be fixed even 10 or 20 years from now. These things, they will still be plaguing Dead by Daylight, and it's okay because the core gameplay of Dead by Daylight is pretty good despite slugging being a problem, for example, but camping, on the other hand, is extremely annoying to deal with, and it turns out that it is possible to fix camping as a problem, and developers have finally found a solution to camping, and I'm not even clickbaiting you, so let's talk about it. But before that, if you want me to come on your mom's titties, then don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much. Alright, if you still have absolutely no idea about what I'm gonna be talking about, I'm gonna talk about the new 2v8 game mode. And you can see the gameplay footage of 2v8 in the background, but basically this game mode is ignoring most of Dead by Daylight's rules. For example, there are no perks, there are different classes. I have never expected for this game to have classes in the first place, but the maps are as big as my fucking cock. They are huge, and my penis is 6.5 inches, by the way. But anyway, instead of 4 survivors, we got 8 survivors. Instead of 1 killer, we got 2 killers. Instead of 5 generators, we got 8 generators, which is very interesting because according to logic, there should be 10 generators on this map, but instead there are 8. And surprisingly, it works. Having no perks, less generators, more killers, more survivors, it all makes Dead by Daylight feel very fresh, very arcadey, very different, and it even makes Dead by Daylight fun for survivors, despite the fact that survivors have to sit on these generators and repair them for minutes upon minutes, which is boring usually, but in this game mode, it's not a problem because it feels different. And that's why I haven't seen even a single YouTuber complaining about how bad or boring 2v8 actually is, because it's not. Universally, 2v8 is so beloved that it actually hinders the queue times for a normal match, because nobody wants to play normal 1v4 games when there's 2v8, which is much more arcadey and much more relaxing, but at the same time there is much more action going on. The reason why I'm talking about 2v8 in a video about camping is that for the first time ever, in this 2v8 game mode we don't have any hooks, which is weird because hooking is a fundamental mechanic of Dead by Daylight. It has always been there from the beginning, and in this game mode not only you cannot hook survivors, but also you cannot even carry them in your arms anymore. There is absolutely no option for you to pick them up from the ground, and even if you find them in a locker, then after picking them up from a locker, your character will automatically drop that survivor on the ground. And whenever a survivor is on the ground dying, the only option you have is to stomp on that survivor with your leg, which will take you like 1.5 seconds to do so, and that survivor will be automatically sent to a cage. And this surprisingly fixes so many problems. For example, for years I've been complaining that Dead by Daylight is a survivor-sided game because whenever you play against a Survive with Friends team, they are usually all well coordinated, they are communicating on Discord, and they all use something like flashlights, and they try to go for these flashlight saves, which sometimes it is pretty much impossible to hook a survivor because these survivors are so good at saving each other. You get what I mean? But in 2v8, because there is no option for you to pick the survivor up, there is no such thing as a flashlight save. Flashlight saves have been practically removed from the game, and this, in my opinion, makes it much more fair to play killer. Another problem that the cage mechanic actually fixes is camping, which this video is about this problem. But most likely you are already aware of it. If you are not, I have to tell you that it is impossible to camp when there are no hooks and when there are cages in the match. And it is impossible to camp because whenever you stomp on a survivor, that survivor will be sent into a cage far away from your location, and you will not be aware of where the survivor has been sent exactly. But if you are lucky enough to find the caged survivor, guess what? That survivor will be sent into another cage, and you will not know where that survivor has been sent, and neither will your partner know about it. So trying to camp will send the survivor far away from you again and again and again. So it's literally impossible to camp. And it's so funny to say this because hey, if in the past, like 1 year ago, you told me, hey BoyDilly, there will be a game mode in Dead by Daylight and there will be no hooks, no perks, there will be some classes, you know, I would be like, what the fuck is this bullshit? But it actually works. But you might think right now, hey, this game mode 2v8 is temporary. Dependent on when you are watching this video, you might not be able to even play this game mode anymore. Maybe you are watching this video after this game mode has expired. But the good news is that developers have told us that they will take this game mode extremely seriously and they want to make it a permanent addition into the game. That's what they told us in the past, and if this game mode goes successful in the beta phase, which right now we have a beta phase of this game mode, then they will look forward to bringing it again. And right now, everybody loves this game mode. We have achieved a crazy player count number, on Steam at least, playing Dead by Daylight right after 2v8 launched, which actually more players makes developers more money than ever before. So there is absolutely zero reason to think that this game mode will never come back to Dead by Daylight. And it's crazy to think that there will one day be a game mode in Dead by Daylight in which camping is not even possible. Now, of course, understandably, the main priority for developers is the regular 1v4 mode in Dead by Daylight, and developers will never stop to take care of this game mode. There will always be players playing 1v4, and honestly, I think that in the long term, 1v4 is a much more replayable game mode just because there are perks, and whenever Dead by Daylight gets boring, you can just run a different perk build which completely changes your playstyle, which is very cool. However, I think that the removal of hooks and the successful introduction of cages into the game, even if it's just a 2v8 game mode, it will have some influence on the 1v4 game mode, because I mentioned before that developers have tried fixing camping in the past, but they couldn't, and there are so many motherfuckers complaining, like on Twitter and on Reddit, oh my god, when will developers fix camping, blah 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 blah. And honestly, it's very hard for developers to fix this problem, because as I mentioned before, this is a fundamental core problem of Dead by Daylight, just like tunneling and slugging. While I don't think that we will ever see the removal of hooks in 1v4 game mode, because there are so many perks centered around hooks, for example, Scourge hook perks, right? And hooks, they are very important in the lore of Dead by Daylight, and this game is expanding on its lore. For example, there will be a DBD horror movie, and soon we will see a DBD game that is a single player game, right? So we don't want to see the removal of the part of the game that actually makes the game what it is today, right? But I think that developers could make it so whenever you down a survivor, you stomp on that survivor, and the entity, which is the main antagonist in Dead by Daylight, right? The entity hooks a survivor on a random hook, and the killer doesn't know exactly where that survivor has been hooked. And if the killer finds a hook, then the survivor will be sent to a different hook. I think that sounds very cool, and it would definitely fix the camping problem, not to mention that if the killer cannot carry a survivor in their hands, that means that there's no such thing as flashlight saves. And I understand that for survivor mains, having no ability to flashlight save your friends, it has to be very annoying, but there's already a perk called Lightborn to counter it, and I think that DBD developers can go one step further to remove flashlight saves, because it actually makes the killer who plays against a well-coordinated Survive a Friends team extremely frustrated. You know what I mean? It's very frustrating to play killer, because you are playing alone while there's an entire team going against you. But I think that this anti-camping shit that's been going on in 2v8 game mode will have some influence on the future of Dead by Daylight, which is great. Comment your opinion. Do you agree with me? Even if you disagree, leave a comment, because I love to read my comment section. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure to subscribe for fun and interesting DBD content. I will see you later. Bye.